Why don't you go kill yourself?
Do it, do it, do it.
If you tell anyone, I'll bring a gun to school and kill you.
We're calling this boy Jack. That's not his real name, but we're choosing not to identify him because of his age. For the past year, this 10-year-old has been relentlessly bullied by a classmate.
She would start threatening me and all of my other friends.
He's been told to go and kill himself. He's been isolated. It's a very psychological kind of bullying.
I stay for half the day, then at lunch I go home, because that's when fights usually happen.
1 in 4 school kids will be bullied this year, but many find it hard to speak up. A major international study has found Aussie students report being bullied more frequently than kids in other OECD countries.
He didn't show any signs, and that's the hard part. I feel he's a silent sufferer.
Jack says the girl who was bullying him also targeted his friends.
They started bringing me notes, telling me if I did not start playing with that person again, she'll bring a knife or a gun. Instead of using them on me, she'll use them on my other friends.
Jack's mum says the girl even brought knives to school.
They were a novelty collector's item, throwing knives, but they were made out of metal. The bully had previously held them to students' necks. I believe she was suspended for 3 days because of it.
She says things got worse when the girl returned to school.
On this particular day, he was passed a note from one of his friends that said, "Go and kill yourself." And I think that was just too much for him. And he did try to strangle himself at school. There were about 5 other girls there that were trying to stop him. And then the bell rang and he ran away. And that's when he said, "I'm going to kill myself." And that's when they called me and I had to come and get him.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to get a call like that from my 10-year-old school.
It was devastating.
What about your son's bully? What sort of consequences has she faced over her behaviours?
So the education department would only allow the bully to be removed from my son's class for a maximum of 2 weeks, and that she was to walk the yard with teachers at recess and lunch.
Why can't the school expel your son's bully?
The education department is saying because of their inclusion policy, every child does have a right to an education. What about my child's education?
Expulsion is considered a last resort when all other methods of dealing with a student's behaviour have failed. In Victoria, where Jack goes to school, some of the reasons a student can be suspended or expelled include behaving in a way that poses actual or perceived danger to another person, possessing a weapon, and consistently engaging in behaviour that degrades or humiliates another person or interferes with their education.
They have said to me there is not enough documentation to go through with an expulsion because my son didn't report a lot of the behaviour.
Policy reforms after a critical report from the Victorian Ombudsman 6 years ago made it easier for parents and students to appeal against expulsion, and the numbers dropped from 285 in 2017 to 125 in 2021. But have the changes made it harder for principals to protect their staff and students?
Certainly we do from time to time have principals raise concerns that there is so much involved that it is difficult to make these decisions in a timely way and in a way that ensures the safety and well-being of all staff and students.
Jack's mum said she had no option but to take out a protection order preventing the girl from being within 5 metres of her son.
The education department's lawyers have said because the classroom will allow them to be in there together with that 5 metre limitation, that she will be in the classroom.
Despite your son's protection order, he still has to face his bully in class every day.
Yes. Like, this is ridiculous. How was he supposed to learn and concentrate on school and feel safe knowing that she's sitting behind him?
I just shut down so I don't do my work, don't respond, I don't really do anything.
Have you thought about pulling him out of school?
I have thought about it, but I don't want to teach him that you need to run away. because at the end of the day, that's what he was trying to do. So why am I going to encourage that behaviour? He needs to see that people are going to stand up and protect him and make him feel safe.
They often say that hurt people hurt people. Do you feel any compassion for your son's bully?
I do feel compassion. I feel horrible that I've had to go to these extremes on a child, but I need to protect my son.
Lucy Thomas is co-founder of Project Rocket, a youth-driven movement against bullying. She says many schools have a piecemeal approach to addressing bullying behaviours.
They might have a policy in place. That doesn't mean that it's being used. They may have education programs for students. They may have awareness education for teachers and parents. But what's needed is a cohesive, nationwide approach centred around elevating young people with the tools, the empathy and the peer connection to actually prevent bullying from happening in the first place.
According to a global education policy report, Aussie classrooms are among the least favourable in the OECD in terms of discipline, intimidation or bullying. A federal inquiry is currently looking into the reasons for the lack of discipline.
Where we have kids with challenging behaviour, we often hear from schools that they need some external support, whether that's with perhaps social workers, psychologists, behavioural experts. It does really highlight the need for additional resources in our schools.
Are you aware of other kids that are being bullied at the school?
Yes, my son's best friend is now getting harassed by his bully's best friend, and he has had to go and get an order.
So what you've got now is a class with 2 bullies and 2 protection orders on 2 children.
Yes.
Wow. What's your biggest fear if nothing changes here?
That I won't have a son. Because next time someone might not be around. I don't want to be the next mum on the news with my son being a statistic. Things need to change now, not later after it's too late.
That's a heartbreaking story, but and as a mum who's sending her kids off to school, it's terrifying. Also because they do hide it so often because they just want to fit in. They don't want, to upset the bully or anything. I didn't have anywhere near as full on as that, but school was not easy for me either when it came to the girls. And I found it really hard navigating that, and feeling unsafe at school is such a hideous feeling.
Yeah, because you've got no choice.
You've got no choice but to go.
It's
the
trapped nature of it.
But what a ridiculous situation for Australian kids to find themselves in. The only protection they can get is from a protection order, and this poor mum is just completely pulling her hair out. The crisis support is always available. It's through Lifeline on 131114 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800.